language of an adult nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
Hey yo, check this out, this is Flavor Flav, and if you want the whole truth, and nothing but the whole truth, so help the whole truth. Hey yo, you better listen to Dante, baby. Dante!
What's going on, guys, and welcome to another great edition of the Dante's Boxing Nation Show. I am your host, Dante. First things first, let me go ahead and introduce the big panel that we do have today. I got my man Boxing Ego, I got Miss Boxing Baby, Eric Morales, AK, and in the studio with me, I got my man Carlos Morales. What's going on, man?
What's good, man?
Welcome to the show, guys. Anyway, let me go ahead and also say what's up to my producer in the studio, straight out of Moscow, my girl Nakia. What's going on, Nakia?
What's good with you?
All right. Let's get it in, y'all. Let's get it in. Now, guys, we had a real good weekend of boxing. Crawford is looking like the future of the sport right now. He just knocked out Bradley-Rios. Bradley-Rios had never been knocked out before. You know, he had one loss on his record, and that was a close decision, a very competitive fight against Lamont Peterson. You know, I personally love the way Crawford, he switches back and forth to southpaw, and when he switches to southpaw, man, it looked like he's cheating, man. So, you know, I want to start with you, Miss Boxing Baby. Go ahead and rate Crawford's performance. I mean, is he the future of boxing? What did you think about his performance?
Absolutely. I think he's a special talent. I don't see anybody in that weight division beating him. I think he's going to take over boxing now. Him and definitely Andre Ward. He's just special. He did exactly what I thought he would do. He dominated. I do think that if he fights Pacquiao, sometimes he tends to get real offensive-minded. He might forget how defensively great he is. But if he fights like Pacquiao, a little more seasoned than John, he has to watch those right hands when he's switching because, you know, Pacquiao can hurt him. But other than that, I don't really see anybody beating him. Mm-hmm. He's a special talent. He does it all well. He can box. He can bang. He can do it all, and he has very good defense.
Absolutely. Now, Eric, there's been talks that Bob Arum, he wants to make this fight. He said that if Crawford goes in there and he shines and passes the test, then that's the fight that Bob Arum wants to make. But right after the fight, Michael Kant said Crawford is not our first option. You know, that's not our first choice. So, Eric, you tell me, is that the fight you want to see next? And do you think Pacquiao would take that fight, or should he take that fight?
Should he take that fight? That's a risky fight to take, considering that even though Crawford is incredibly talented, he's not as well known as, let's say, a Timothy Bradley or Amir Khan. However, just by looking at the numbers, I believe I was looking at a page earlier saying that he had over 1.1 million views this past Saturday night. That's an impressive stat for an up-and-coming star. I think it was an increase from his last time out.
Wow. That is big. So, that's big news. Yeah.
Yeah, and so just by looking at his stats, you would think that someone like Bradley would be a better draw, but just by looking at these numbers, I think Crawford might be the draw, and yes, he is a special talent. I would rate his performance an 8. He got hit a few times at the end, where he got tagged a few times on some counters, but other than that, he looks spectacular. He really does look like the future, and I can't wait to see his next fight, whether it's against Pacquiao, whether against Victor Posto, whoever it may be.
Absolutely. And Boxing Ego, like Eric Morales said, he did get caught a couple times. He got caught with the straight right, but I thought that kind of showed the type of chin he had as well. So, I mean, that could be a catch-22, you know, with him getting in the ring with Manny Pacquiao. I mean, is he ready for Pacquiao, and how did you rate his performance, Ego?
I thought he looked great. I had the pleasure of seeing him live versus Ray Beltran. I was in Omaha. Great crowd. They really come out to support. Warren Buffett was there, you know what I mean, billionaire. So I think he is a rising star. Top Rank, they should really start promoting him, pumping him. But against Bradley-Rios, I tweeted on my Twitter, if he were to stop Bradley-Rios, I'd be impressed because I know Bradley-Rios is tough. He sparred with Pacquiao. He fought Lamont Peterson in a competitive fight, and he did just that. And the funny thing is both HBO performances last week and this week, I thought the fights were an established jab was what like set the tone and pace for the fights. Triple G did it with Lemieux, and then Terrence Crawford established the jab, which is really what got things going. But the thing is, I told people on Twitter, I think the quote-unquote Mexican style, Terrence Crawford fought more of that quote-unquote Mexican style than Triple G did. Triple G, a win is a win. He played it safe, though. Like, he was just, until he waited and got Lemieux in a position where Lemieux had no answers and really shut out. Terrence Crawford was taking some big gambles against a guy with a 65% knockout ratio. So I was impressed because, like I said, I seen the fight live, and he wasn't as aggressive. So just knowing he has that gear, and then you talked about him getting popped, I think in the 8th round, he got hit with 2 flush shots, and I was like, okay, De'Aaron came alive. But it's what he did after that impressed me more than De'Aaron landing those shots. And then he jumped right on top of De'Aaron, and it looked like he might have was about to stop De'Aaron if there's a little bit more time after he got hit with 2 shots. So, I mean, that's the mark of a true champion. You know what I mean? Someone gets hit, bow. You know what I mean? It didn't take you out of your game. You recover, and you jump right on your man. Just, you know what I mean? Don't let them win the round, or you know what I mean? Because I think I would have gave De'Aaron the round maybe had Terrence not jumped on him. So it's like Crawford didn't even let him get no type of shine. I had it a shutout.
Yeah. And now I'm gonna go off track a little bit because of some of the stuff you mentioned right now. But you know, I find it interesting when you talk about the Mexican style. Like you said, Crawford went in there, and that would look to be more of what Gigi would call Mexican style than what Gigi gave us against David Lemieux. Now, what's so interesting is if you look at the contrast, when Manny Pacquiao fought Floyd Mayweather, you know, everyone said, oh, you know, yeah, Floyd won, but the fight didn't live up to the expectations. We expected, you know, Floyd to take more risk, and, you know, if you're going to make us pay, you know, for a fight like this, and et cetera, it's on such a big stage, we expect more out of you. So my whole thing is, when you bring up the Mexican style in Gennady Golovkin, what I don't understand is, why is it when Golovkin is on the biggest stage and everyone is promoting him, you got Ronda Rousey promoting him, saying, oh yeah, I love him and can't wait to watch him. You're getting all these endorsements, and they trying to promote this, you know, pay-per-view like it's the Super Bowl. And when you get on the biggest stage and you're fighting against a guy who's going to oblige you when it comes to the style that you enjoy the most, that's when you decide to throw jabs and move? See, I have no problem with that. That was intelligent boxing. But my whole problem is the contradiction in it. You see, that's the problem I have. You guys will sit here and say that you expected more out of Floyd Mayweather, who we already knew was a boxer. We already knew he's a think first type fighter, right? You had a problem with him, and you wanted him to do more, but you didn't want the guy who was expected to do what he always does, big drama. You know what I mean? So, you know, that.
Yep. If Floyd does what in the Pacquiao fight, he does what he always does. Nullify the opponent, reduce them to throwing a career low amount of punches or landing. His accuracy is high. Get in, get out. That's, you know what I mean? That's, at this point of his career, precision punching, speed, reflexes. I mean, defense, he does the same thing. But for Triple G, like you said, you were in there with David Lemieux, a guy with, like, you know what I mean? They kept saying Hagler Hearns. This wasn't no Hagler Hearns. Like, I've seen Hagler Hearns. This wasn't even me haggling at a flea market. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a one-sided beatdown with Triple G. And I don't have any problem. Winning is winning. But it's the casual fans that make you use their own rhetoric and their own logic to disprove what they're saying. If Triple G won just with the jab and didn't get a stoppage, I'd be like, cool, congrats. You did your thing. You got the IBF belt. But it's the rhetoric that I hear from the fans who say, oh, we hate Floyd, or we hate Ward, or we hate this person, or we hate this person because they're not putting on the show. Triple G entertains me, and he's this and that, and it's Mexican style and stuff like that. And like I said, Terrence Crawford, his performance was more of the Mexican style. You know what I mean? Why do you wait till you get someone who can match you in the power department and you don't fight, like you said, this traditional way that got you the fan base that you have?
And Mayweather versus Berto still beat on Golovkin pay-per-view numbers, right?
Oh, yeah, 5 times. 5 times. Go ahead.
They weren't expecting more from Mayweather. They were expecting him to lose. That's what they were expecting. I mean, that's what they're using as the excuse, but in reality, we all know what it was. They were expecting him to lose. That's why they were disappointed.
Real boxing fans knew what Floyd was going to do, though, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
I don't know who the hell compared that fight to Hagler and Hearns. They must be smoking because there's no way in the world you compare some Triple G and David Lemieux to Hagler and Hearns. Who did that? I didn't hear that anywhere.
HBO said that.
And they've been saying that a lot recently. But
but Dante, Mayweather Pacquiao was called Fight of the Year or Century or whatever, and people were like, oh, it didn't live up to expectations. That didn't live up to my expectation of what it was built up. They said it was like it was some rock'em sock'em robots. They were saying David versus Goliath. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was Goliath versus like a boy. You know what I'm saying?
Hell versus heaven.
One-sided.
Just like I said it was going to be.
When I watched De La Hoya versus Vargas, that was bad blood. That was some real life bad blood. I seen it when they were fighting. That it was bad blood. But to me, they were making it like it was going to be this epic brawl and duel of the death. Triple G fought the smart fight. So it's funny how people pick and choose and revert to the boxing that everybody hates when it suits their needs.
Yeah, and once again, we're not trying to take any credit away from Golovkin. We're just saying you boxing fans need to be more consistent with the stuff that you guys come up with. We're accusing people of, not living up to expectations. All we basically saying, once again, like we always say on the show, let's treat all these fighters the same.
And when Triple G does it, it's called great boxing, which to me, what he did was not great boxing. But when Mayweather does it, it's not great boxing. I don't understand that. When Mayweather is run, but when Triple G does it, it's great boxing. I don't get the double standard there.
Yeah.
The other thing with that double standard, the thing that was weird with that double standard too, is Mayweather's a smaller guy and he's athletic. Triple G to me is not really an athletic person like Crawford. Athletic, you know what I mean? Triple G's kind of slow and he has an immense amount of power. So actually, it's more impressive to see Floyd because he's so fluid, like the athleticism of Floyd, like the way he's off the ropes or fighting off the ropes, or like you look at Maidana. We talked about this on the phone yesterday, Dante. You look at Maidana versus Mayweather 1, a guy that outweighs him 15, 17 pounds or whatever. He backs himself onto the ropes. Why did Triple G give David Lemieux the free swings that he gave Monroe with 6 knockouts? Why didn't he back himself to the ropes, fight off the ropes like Mayweather fought Maidana off the ropes or whatever to make it for the fans? Like when he fought Willie Monroe with 6 knockouts, he said he basically let Willie Monroe survive and let him into the fight. Let David Lemieux in the fight. He can crack. I want to see how you respond. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, again, funny you pick and choose. And again, back to athleticism, Mayweather fights off the ropes. He fights off the ropes and holds his own on the inside, on the outside. For Triple G, I've seen it like more of a mid-range. He keeps you at the end of his jab, which is cool, but I want to see how he does on the ropes. It's just nobody's been able to back him up on the ropes like that.
But he's not going to do that. Like Mayweather said, he's a good fighter. He has no special effects. He's not there's nothing special about him. He's basic. He's basic, and it's working against these opponents now. That's why they don't want him to fight Ward.
Absolutely.
They want to have a man who's like Mayweather.
Absolutely.
He can do it all.
Absolutely.
You have to fight a man like Mayweather. You have to pull some tricks out the bag. Triple G has no tricks. He's power, no head movement, come forward, throw it down. Let me
get into, since we didn't get to talk about the pay-per-view numbers on this show, let's go ahead and talk about the pay-per-view numbers now. I know that there's nobody on this panel, and everyone is watching. I know for a fact nobody expected these type of numbers. Even Tom Loeffler, he said at the worst case scenario, I'd be happy to see 200,000. So Carlos, I'm gonna start with you on this one. With him hitting 150,000 pay-per-views, and we're being told that this guy is the future of boxing, without him, the sport would be dead. What do you think about those numbers? What does it say? Does that mean that they were trying to rush us into believing he's a star? Tell me about it, Carlos.
Yeah, I think they're rushing it, and he's probably going to go right back to HBO, Same thing with Canelo, they try to force you pay-per-view and then right back to HBO, but I think still Triple G still has a bright future. Just start stepping up bigger names. Start fighting bigger names. I mean, it would be great if he could be on like the Ppv'S series. That would be great.
That would be real great. That would be big time.
But he still has a bright future. But pay-per-view star, I don't know about that. And they're trying to hate on Mayweather, but Mayweather fought Berto and he still did way better numbers. But Mayweather is a household name, and I think Triple G could be as well. But maybe just start fighting a lot bigger names and put them out there more in public. Like I said, the free television would be great for a guy like Triple G.
Mm-hmm. And the whole thing, Carlos, is we found out that loving someone or praising someone doesn't always translate into big pay-per-view numbers, right?
Yeah.
So Carlos, let me ask you this real quick. If Golovkin is not going to get Canelo, because Canelo, he just recently said that he really has no interest in fighting Golovkin right now. Cotto makes it very clear that he doesn't have an interest. So how is Golovkin going to become a star if he can't get another big name in the ring with him?
I guess he's gonna have to step up and fight Andre Ward. You know.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that name, boy. You gonna hurt some feelings using that W word.
Well, yeah. He could pretty much say, you know what? Since these guys don't want to fight me, I'm gonna go up and fight Andre Ward. You know, I'm gonna make a statement. I'm trying to be a star. You know, I'm trying to fight the best, win or lose. Like Thurman says, he ain't scared to lose the O. You know, just fight the best, and you know.
Yeah. And once again, that's what Rigo did. Rigo only had one guy around his division that was considered pound for pound top 3, one of the best fighters in the world, and that was Nonito Donaire. Nonito Donaire even jumped up at a higher weight class. A lot of people believe he did that to get away from Rigo. And Rigondeaux said, wherever he goes, I go, right? And he followed him. So, yeah. But anyway, one more thing that I wanted to bring up. I wanted to compare the boxing situation, saying that the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, compared to Golovkin versus Lemieux, it was boring and it was this and it was that. I tell people, I use this analogy all the time. When you watch soccer, you don't care if that game goes 2 hours without one single score. Soon as there's one score, the crowd goes crazy, right? Because all that matters is that their team won. And the same thing would apply if it would have been the other way around with Pacquiao versus Mayweather. Meaning, if Pacquiao would have won that fight, do you really think we would have heard anyone talking about expectations weren't that high? No, they just want to see Floyd Mayweather's face down, his head down in defeat. That's all people want to see. Matter of fact, I heard some people talking about the fight before it took place. Oh, the Berto fight. And I remember some guy was asking some other guy. He was like, you going to pay for that fight? And this one dude, he was like, no, I hate that guy. I hate that guy, Mayweather. And, he was saying that kind of stuff. And the other dude was saying, well, man, I don't really like him either that much. I just want to pay to see him lose. So if he loses, I want to be there when he loses. So that's just proof, the people who hate, they want to see it. They want to be there when it happens. That's why people paid for all of Floyd Mayweather's fights. Not saying everybody hated him, because I've seen Chance of USA, strong Chance of USA, in the last a couple of his fights. But I'm saying you always have that big chunk of haters, So let's move on. Go ahead.
That's how it should be, though. Like USA fans should be cheering for, that's what
American fighters. That's how it is in the Olympics.
Well, yeah, when Mexican fighters fight, Mexican fighters supporting their fighters, Cuban fighters supporting their fighters, like more Americans need to be there for their fighters,
Exactly.
And Mayweather was an Olympian too,
Yeah. It makes all the sense.
Man, I gotta just say this is I don't want to hear no more A-side, Triple G's, and A-side or nothing at this point. Like I'm
yeah.
I like Triple G, interviewed Tom Loeffler. I don't want to hear none of this. Canelo's the A-side, Cotto's the A-side, Mayweather's the A-side, Triple G ain't the A-side. So, like, if Canelo said he will fight Triple G at 155, and see, that's another problem, because he said he'll fight him at 155. Triple G said he'll fight Mayweather at 154. He's retired, and it's the smallest of the whole bunch of Cotto, Canelo, and Mayweather. So why are you willing to fight Mayweather at 54, but Canelo's an A-side? Canelo right now holds the record for the highest regular cable programming on a fight, and that's Canelo Kirkland. He did over 2 million. You know what I'm saying? So he's clearly an A-side fighter, and he's a star. So why won't you fight him 1 pound higher? So you have to lose 1 less pound, but you were willing to fight Mayweather. You know what I mean? It's similar to the same thing with Froch Chavez. You go up to 68 for them, but catch weight with Ward. You know what I mean?
It's almost like the woman who stays with her boyfriend who's beating her. He keeps beating her, she keeps staying. If Triple G, if it's working now, he's a star. He don't have to move up or fight anybody elite. He's gonna keep doing what he's doing. It's working because people are buying into the hype. He's 34-0 and still has not fought a top 10 fighter yet. If I'm gonna keep winning belts like this and it's working, why would I stop? Nobody's making me stop. And here you got a man like Ward who's ready to fight you, and you walk right over him, but you can call out Mayweather who's 2 weight classes below you. But to me, that 154, if that's going to work, then why not? If these fans are going to support him continuously and him doing this, why stop?
Yeah.
But see, the thing is,
stop?
I don't think the fans support. Like, that's the thing with some of the boxing fans. They're straight up, they're fake. You know what I mean? I hear like, oh, Berto, no one wants to watch Mayweather Berto, but it did better pay-per-view numbers than Triple G versus Lemieux, which was Hagler Hearn.
Way.
Like, how does Berto? Everybody that posted a video or comments and stuff said this is a shit fight. I don't want to watch Mayweather Berto. Even me and you were like, it's just a farewell fight. It's not the best opponent, or you know what I mean. It's just it is what it is. And it still did better numbers than Triple G Lemieux. So some of these people are keyboard warriors, and they just get on the net like, oh, yeah, Triple G or whoever the fighter is at that time, and they ride for him, but they're not really riding because they're not riding with their pocketbooks. They're not paying for this man. They were just talking about how he sold out Madison Square Garden, so all the local community was. But, you know what I mean, some of the people online, they're not even buying his – they didn't buy his fight. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you, Eric. Let me ask you this, Eric. Now, of course, I did an interview with some Mayweather boxers, and they basically said that David Lemieux, or I should say Golovkin, he looked a lot like Floyd Mayweather in there fighting against David Lemieux. And you would see, fans, they would post comments and they would say stuff like, that's an insult to Golovkin. Basically, he looks much better. He doesn't clinch, he doesn't run, and et cetera, et cetera. That's an insult because he fights like a man. I want to ask you, Eric, in your opinion, do you think he fought similar to Floyd Mayweather that night when Golovkin fought Lemieux?
He used some similar tactics. I wouldn't say similar. Like, it wasn't like Golovkin was using the shoulder roll off the ropes or anything like that. But I thought he looked I thought he kind of was doing a little bit of a Klitschko impression for their minute, the way he got a little bored with that jab.
Yeah,
myself as a fan, I thought it was a great tactic. But I can't see how people could be bored of it. The one thing I want to mention on all this, we got to remember, as much as we love boxing, it is a sport. I live in Houston. I got people who still think the Texans are going to the Super Bowl this year. And you try to tell them, no, they're not, but they believe it. And that's what's happening over in boxing. You have certain fighters who are certain fans who are just going to hate the Dallas Cowboys no matter what. And so I think you see that in boxing as well.
Oh, no doubt.
Over. And so I don't want to criticize the fans. As much as we hate it, the casual fans is who all of us want to get on their side because they're easy to influence and all of that nature. But it's hard to get them because, they go along with trends as easy as anything. I thought Golovkin looked very good in his last fight against Lemieux, but as most of y'all thought, I didn't think it was going to be much of a fight either. I mean, it is what it is. The numbers show that the fans didn't really think it was going to be too much of a barn burner, so I think they were right. But to say Golovkin is hard, I think it's a stretch. I think he's a very talented boxer, a very good boxer. Yeah, it's just a shame that, unfortunately, you got the catch weights, you got the promotional issues.
I don't think nobody's calling Triple G horrible. I haven't heard that. They're just calling what it is. That you're going to look great fighting who you're fighting. I want to see you step up. Everybody's going to look great fighting who they're fighting.
That's an excellent point.
I can't call you a great fighter yet when you have not proven your greatness. And fighting guys like David Lemieux and the Willie Monroe, that's not proving your greatness. Calling out the Terriano Johnson when you're 34-0. When you got a man like Mayweather who was 17-0 when he stepped up and fought for a title to a guy who had one loss to Oscar De La Hoya. So you're not proving your greatness to me. He's not horrible, but I cannot call him great.
Let me say this.
Even Erislandy Lara, right?
Yeah.
Name an undefeated fighter that Triple G beat, and then you're probably going to struggle at that. Name a fighter that Triple G fought, right, that didn't have a loss. And then go look at that loss, because they did have losses, and tell me if it was a stoppage loss. Gabriel, he got stopped by Angulo. Lemieux got stopped by Marco Antonio Rubio. Toriano Johnson, if they do fight, he got stopped by Curtis Stevens. So go through all the list of people. Macklin had been stopped by Sergio Martinez. Go through the whole list of Golovkin opponents and tell me who was undefeated. And when you can't find that out, then tell me who didn't have a loss. And if they did have a loss, was it a stoppage loss?
Yeah.
No, go through Triple D's box rack and tell me who Laquan Simpson is. Who's that?
Triple G. I never heard of him. And the thing is, I like Triple G. He's a good fighter, but some of the fans don't put things into perspective. You got to put boxing into perspective. You know what I mean? And the perspective is you have to fight. People keep talking about Andre Ward's inactive. True. Okay, Andre Ward fights once every millennium, whatever. His resume is still better, and he still fights less. Triple G's fighting 3 to 4 times a year, and his resume is nowhere near. Like, name a Chad Dawson, even dropping down a weight division, that Triple G has on his resume.
And it's a lot.
You know Name a Carl Froch.
No.
But Carl Froch is retired, and they said they want to fight Carl Froch. So Ward is inactive, but Carl Froch is retired, and that's okay to fight him.
Yeah,
that doesn't even make any sense.
And he hasn't had a fight in 18 months. You know, another thing I want to say about, like I said, when they were trying to talk about Floyd Mayweather, he clinches and et cetera, and that's the difference from Golovkin. I want people to understand something. If you know about boxing, then you would know that when Golovkin was fighting against Lemieux, there would be no reason for him to clinch because Lemieux was fighting from the outside. Okay? Usually people tie up when they're trying to take away your inside game. He didn't have to worry about that. Golovkin was getting exactly what he wanted. He was trying to keep Lemieux at a distance so he could control him with the jab and eventually land a big-ass right hand. Okay? There was no pressure applied, so there was no reason for Golovkin to clinch. I mean, if you guys really believe that Golovkin is going to go through his career without tying and holding up, y'all got another thing coming. Because I tell you right now, we seen the machine, Lucas Matisse, he was holding when he fought against Ruslan Provodnikov. Why? Because of the pressure, right? We seen Pacquiao, a guy who's supposed to be this action, who he is. He's an action-packed fighter, volume puncher, but when he fought against Bradley-Rios, that pressure was getting to him. He had to tie up Bradley-Rios. He was tying up Tim Bradley as well. You know, so, and I also want to talk about the casual fans that Eric was referring to. You know, this is the whole thing, you know, and I know some people will think that, you know, we're being hard on the casual fans, but if you guys don't notice what's going on, this sport is ran by casual fans, okay? Yep. It's not just people on the internet. HBO, Jim Lampley's TV show, that is a casual fan. He's like one of the bosses, you know what I mean? He's on top. He's one of the leaders of the gang. You got ESPN right after Floyd. ESPN, they demanded Floyd fights against Manny Pacquiao for years and years and years. Soon as Floyd Mayweather fights them, then they get on the air and they say, oh, the fight was garbage. We all blame it on Floyd Mayweather and this and that and whatever. Let's piss off Floyd and give the Fighter of the Year award to Ronda Rousey. Let's see how his face looks then. You know what I mean? This shit is all casual. It's
also one by racism. It's racism in boxing.
Well, of course.
It's anybody who watches boxing cannot know that holding is a part of boxing. But if I'm fighting a man who's swinging his punches away from the stands, I don't have to hold him. You just see
that's exactly. That's my point. That's my point.
And see, this is the thing. I agree there are casual fans that dominate the sport of boxing, but it's when they start trying to push an agenda. You're not going to get away with that same stuff. It's like going to an actual jeweler who knows what they're looking at. That cubic zirconian fake shit, I'm going to know the difference between a cubic zirconian and a diamond. So you can't pull that on me. You know what I mean? I want to hear somebody who believes that Triple G should be higher ranked on the pound-for-pound list than Terrence Crawford. I want to hear an intelligent argument how Triple G, because you can't rate off potential. You cannot rate based on what they could do. It's based on what they have done. So how is Triple G ahead of Andre Ward, Terrence Crawford? Anybody that believes that, leave an intelligent in the comment section argument how Triple G is number one over all those guys. Kovalev, how is Triple G resume better than Kovalev or Klitschko?
Yeah, you can't be
above any of them. 31 cab drivers, that's why.
Yeah. I mean, to me, even Nicholas Walters win over Nolito Donaire was a bigger win, I think, than any win that Golovkin has had so far.
Yeah, because people didn't even know who Walters was like that.
Yeah. And that's, once again, when you talk about real knockout power. When I was talking to Nate Campbell, that's what he was saying, the former lightweight champion. He was like, you know, we want to. You talk about power, but can you knock out fighters on that higher level with power, right? And we seen Nicholas Walters knock out Donaire, a guy who had never been knocked down before, right? We thought that this man had a cement chin, and Nicholas Walters, he knocked him out. Okay, so you know, and fans, I want you guys to understand, we're not hating on Golovkin at all. You guys are the ones that are putting a target on Golovkin's back, okay? When you sit over here and you talk about certain fighters like Floyd Mayweather and Ward who have accomplished way more, right? And then you discredit them and say they're garbage, cherry pickers, and this and this and this. How do you explain that after you try to praise someone like Golovkin, who's damn near 34 years old, and he hasn't even fought an undefeated fighter? He's never fought a top 10 pound-for-pound champ. And, credit to Golovkin. He is trying to fight the winner of Peter Quillen and Danny Jacobs. So I give him credit for that. And he is the best middleweight in the world right now. But just because you have potential to beat guys, and just because I may pick you to beat Lara, or I may pick you to beat, Froch or whoever, not saying I would, but just saying if I am picking that, you still got to take the fight so we can actually see it, right? I can't place a bet if the game never happens, all right? And I damn sure can't collect no damn money. So anyway.
And see, Dante, the other thing, too, is people are emotional. You say something, and just because they don't like that fighter, because I'm going to say something right now. Danny Garcia has a better resume per division than Triple G.
No doubt.
Yep. And then I guarantee you in the comment, well, Danny's a champion, Rod Southern. That don't have nothing to do with it. He fought Nate Campbell, Ashley Theophane, Zab Judah. He was expected to lose against Amir Khan, expected to get knocked out by Lucas Matisse. He's been in there with Lamont Peterson, but people are so dumb that they're going to talk about the controversy in the Lamont Peterson fight or the Mauricio Herrera fight, and then they'll try to discredit his whole resume. Oh, Eric Morales was old. Eric Morales is still a legend. Mike fought Morales and didn't stop him. Danny Garcia did in the second fight. You know what I'm saying? So not everyone can do that to a legend. You know what I mean? Spin him around like James Brown in the ring and then win when they're the challenger. So
and Triple G fought about 30 live choppers.
Yeah.
Like 30 of them. So.
Yeah, something else I want to talk about.
So it's just funny because people hate Danny Garcia, and his resume is better than Triple G. I'm not talking about potential or, I thought he lost. I thought he lost to Herrera. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, resume is resume, and he's still done more per division. Even fighting Paul
Maldonado. But they still bringing up Paul. They still bringing up Chaka though. They still stuck on that fight. Like every fight he had was hard, and then he had one fight when it wasn't hard, and they still talking about that. When Triple G fought 30 like Rod Chaka.
Yeah,
he got a whole bunch of them on his resume.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move on a little bit. Let's talk about this situation with Andre Ward. If you guys haven't heard, recently the Nevada State Athletic Commission, they decided not to sanction Ward's bout. He's fighting against Rohan Murdoch. Rohan Murdoch is 18-1 with 14 knockouts. He's ranked in the WBO organization. And on top of that, his second to last fight, he beat an undefeated fighter. Now, this is my whole thing. Is this the best opponent in the world that Ward could face? Absolutely not. But does it meet the criteria for NSAC to actually not sanction the fight? Now, I'm gonna let you you go ahead and start with this one, Carlos. What do you think about that?
No, I think they to be honest with you, they should have probably just fought over there in California. But I mean, I think they should be able to sanction it. Yeah, I don't agree with that though. Even though I don't know too much about Murdoch.
None of us do. None of us ever heard of him.
I mean, they could have still promoted the fight, And
see, and this is my thing, Carlos. The whole thing is, if you guys don't pay attention, and a lot of people don't know this because I live out here in Vegas now, I do know that when it comes to Nevada, they are extremely strict when it comes to approving fights and sanctioning fights. Matter of fact, I was going to have my buddy from Right Hook Promotions, who actually puts real good fight cards on out here in Vegas. He tells me a lot of times he wants to come on the show. He wants to promote this fight card that he's putting together. And it's been so many times where he called me up at the last minute and said, hey, you know what, cancel that, man, because, NSAC, they didn't approve the opponents. Matter of fact, it was a guy by the name of Don Moore, or there is a guy by the name of Don Moore, undefeated fighter. He fights out of the Mayweather gym. Good fighter, right? Don Dangerous Moore.
The one calling out Chewy?
Yeah, you know what's going on in Vegas. Yeah, Chewy Gutierrez. That was going to be a big fight out here, and actually Chewy wasn't interested in that fight. But anyway, there was going to be another good fight. A fighter who fights out of our gym. Shouts out to Cameron Carrill. Cameron Carrill, he's not an undefeated fighter, but they brought him in there, put him up against monsters as soon as he turned pro. Long story short, they were going to match up, right? And this was going to be a real good fight. And Nevada State Athletic Commission, they didn't sanction the fight. You know why they didn't sanction it? Because they said Don Moore, even though he was undefeated, they said because he hadn't had a fight in over a year. So I'm thinking they're not sanctioning it because Cameron has a couple of losses on his record. But no, they didn't sanction it because the undefeated guy hadn't had a fight. He was inactive, right? So another double standard or another comparison I want to mention is, if you guys don't remember, when Leo Santa Cruz fought against the State Farm worker on the undercard, he fought against Manuel Roman. Manuel Roman, actually, his last 8 fights, he had lost. Let me see. His last 8 fights, he had won 3 of his last 8 fights, and they did approve that fight. So to me, that makes no sense. We never heard of Murdoch. We never had heard of Roman before the fight, but yet they still approved that fight. So I think there's a little bit of a, well, I shouldn't say I think, I know that this is a little bit more personal. I dropped the video the other day, guys. I told you that someone who's very close to this situation, who's actually trying to get this fight made, because people from Team Ward actually reached out to this guy, and he's trying to make the fight happen. But he told me that this is extremely personal. He said that, Andre Ward is not liked by people very, very high. And I can't get too deep into that, but I'll just leave it at that. But what he told me, it blew my mind, and it made me shake my head. It was damn near the saddest thing I could hear, so I'll leave it at that. But do you guys, yeah, let's go ahead and move on. If you guys want to touch on that, you can, but I'm going to go ahead and move on. You want to start off with Rios Bradley?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rios Bradley, and the fight is not till next weekend, but it's out here in Vegas. It's at the UNLV. It's going to be a good fight.
Thomas and Mack. Yeah.
Thomas and Mack Center. About a year ago, this fight would have been an easy cherry pick for Tim Bradley. But after we seen Tim Bradley going through all of these wars, it really makes me wonder. Now it's almost like a 60-40 fight to me. I'm still in favor of Bradley winning, but I can see Brandon Rios actually having a shot. What do you think, Carlos?
I agree exactly with you. Yeah, I was just explaining to somebody that I was telling pretty much this is easy work for Bradley, but after, I was explaining to this casual fan that Bradley has a chance where, he could get a little reckless and end up brawling, and could get clipped, but he has the heart of a lion, and he should be able to pull this out. But like I said, Brandon Rios could give him problems, probably tag him in the chin, maybe wobble him, but overall I think Bradley should get it together and should be able to beat him, and it's going to be interesting because he's with Teddy Atlas this fight, right?
Yeah. That amplifies the situation.
Yeah, and but Bradley should be able to win. Don't get me easy, but you just never know what Rios has up his sleeve. Maybe he could maybe that quote unquote Mexican style could might just get him a little bit, But Bradley should be able to adapt, and it should be easy work, to be honest with you. But I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised.
How easy is he going to make it?
Yeah, if Rios maybe clips him, because Vargas clipped him. We never really know, but Bradley should win that fight by unanimous decision.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
if he boxes, he should win. But Bradley likes to bang, and I think that he's going to finally meet a man like Rios who loves to bang, and he can't hurt Rios. That's the thing. So whatever he throws, he's going to walk right through it. His best bet is to box him like he did Marquez.
Yeah,
if he tries to get into a bang, he's going to get beat up. That's the only chance he has to win is to box him, because the power he has, Rios he's not going to respect it. He's known to bang. That's what he loves to do. And to beat him, he will have to pressure Bradley and not let him keep the fight long. Because if he tries to bang with Rios, I think he's going to get stopped. So his best bet is just to box him and move like he did against Marquez.
Yeah. Should be a good fight, man. Should be a good fight.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to go way back to Crawford and Pacquiao, that situation. Now, Boxing Ego, I'll start with you, and I'm going to ask everyone. Bob Arum and team Pacquiao, they're basically saying that the options are going to be Bradley, Khan, or Crawford for Manny Pacquiao's next fight in April of 2016. Boxing Ego, who do you think is going to end up being? Who do you think they'll end up picking, assuming Bradley gets past Rios?
I don't know who's going to end up. I'll tell you who I would prefer, who I like. Like me, I don't want to see the Brandon Rios Bradley winner face him. Pacquiao already has wins over both of them. So for a final fight, that's not really what I want to see. And then for Bradley, arguably Pacquiao beat him twice, depending on who's telling it. So I don't want to see Pacquiao fight Bradley again. And he still has to get past Brandon Rios, which is I don't know who I'm picking, but that's a difficult fight. I've seen Brandon Rios live in his last fight. Them uppercuts was nasty, and Bradley hasn't been fighting. You know what I'm saying? He got hurt by Jesse Vargas. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? basically the fight's going to be as hard as he makes it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But me personally, I would love Terrence Crawford versus Pacquiao or Amir Khan. I think those are solid options. I don't know. I got some details, but I guess Amir Khan, his contract with Al Heyman would stipulate that he can fight a guy like Manny Pacquiao. Because
you said can or can't?
He can.
Okay.
Because a lot of people are questioning, like, oh, can he fight him because he's with Heyman? But I guess his contract is different than some of the other fighters. So Al Heyman doesn't have veto power to say, like, put an X-May on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good with either one of those, Terrence Crawford or Amir Khan for Pacquiao's last fight. But I think Crawford looks sensational versus Bradley-Rios. Aram said they would make it at 140. I mean, Pacquiao's not the biggest welterweight, so that's good to me.
But let's make a prediction, though, Ego. If you got to pick, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you had to pick to see who gets it right, who do you think eventually the opponent is going to be for Pacquiao?
If a deal could be reached, Khan, because I think stylistically he would favor that style, Khan or Matisse or somebody not named Terrence Crawford, put it that way.
Yeah, somebody not named Terrence Crawford.
I think honestly, I think Terrence Crawford looked too good in his last fight to the point where this is a farewell fight for him. They're saying he's going off to politics after this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a dangerous fight. And it's a 50-50 fight. Don't get me wrong, because I would probably favor Pacquiao, but it would still be Terrence Crawford would be like a gnat. He would be a pest to deal with that style as opposed to Amir Khan, who is going to have heart. We don't know if his chin can take Pacquiao's best shot. You know what I'm saying? So I think it'll probably – I don't know if it'll be Terrence Crawford. I think it'll be someone else.
Yeah.
I think that if he fights Crawford, he'll retire off a loss because I don't think that he'll beat Crawford at this point in the game, and I think it'll be Bob Arum throwing him to the wolves, especially coming off a dominating loss to Mayweather. He'll lose again, going out on the title with a loss. But if he fights Amir Khan, I think he'll go out on the title with a knockout victory. So it's a better fight.
And see, that's kind of what I'm saying too. It's like you just lost to Mayweather. You're going to get in there with this generation's like athletic
throw him to the wolves.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's hard to believe.
I get the closest style to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's a southpaw. Yeah, and he can fight southpaw, which Pacquiao's never had them type of issues before. What about you, Eric?
Like seamless.
I pretty much agree with Ego. I think both of his selections, Amir Khan and Terrence Crawford, would probably be the best choices. Now, there's only one problem. Terrence Crawford isn't exactly the best interview. He is a great fighter. He's very good, but he's not going to bring much excitement in the press conferences where we know Amir Khan is. There is all the hoopla with the Freddie Roach ex-coach. I just think that would be more, and as Miss Boxing Baby just said, there's a chance for a knockout, a real good chance. So it all depends on what they feel like doing. If they want to, I think this is a fight that Bud Crawford could win, could very well win. I just don't know if they're going to make it. I don't know. That's a tough one. I think I would rather see. I'd probably want to see Terrence Crawford versus Pacquiao, but I just have a feeling they're going to try to go a different direction.
Yeah. AK?
Yeah, I feel like I think Amir Khan might get it, but if it's not Amir Khan because of Al Heyman, you know, when I first heard about Matisse, I was like, nah, he ain't gonna fight him after a loss. But when I thought about it, you know, Pacquiao throwback, you know, he fought Margarito after he lost. He fought Mosley after he lost, I believe. He fought Oscar De La Hoya after he lost. Yeah. So he's known for this, you know what I mean? So, I wouldn't be surprised if he fights Matisse after a loss either. I mean, at first I was kind of shocked, but now when I thought about it, I mean, if it ain't Khan, it's definitely Matisse, and it ain't no Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, they want a guaranteed win, and what's so sad is even Matisse is not a guaranteed win because Matisse, he can actually box. Like I said, the only problem with Matisse is I question his heart now. You know, I question his heart the way he quit. You know, he's far from a machine. I can tell you that right now. So I mean, but if his heart, you know, stands up and he actually goes in there and he has the confidence, that's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. You know, he may have a better defense. He might even be just as good, if not a better boxer than Pacquiao. But if it's up to me to pick, I, of course, want to see Pacquiao versus Crawford.
Me too.
That's the fight that we need. Yeah. That's the fight that the sport needs. It needs it for two reasons. Because, like I said, if Crawford wins, which he is the favorite, I think he'll be the favorite. If he wins, a new star is born.
Yep.
If Pacquiao wins, his career is resurrected. So it's a win-win situation. and it's definitely a win-win for Bob Arum.
Yeah,
we already know that.
Pacquiao pretty much got nothing to lose in that fight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the other thing is it's a good right off to the sunset type fight. You lost to Mayweather, who's an undefeated, slicker style American champion. So if you were able to defeat one who shows a lot of promise, like Terrence Crawford, ambidextrous, then I think that, you know what I mean, it's like it's redemption. You know what I mean? You didn't beat Mayweather, but that's a nice consolation prize.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's too risky to come off a loss the way you did, and then to put him in there with Crawford.
No,
it doesn't
you're
make
right.
any sense.
You're right.
Fight Khan and win by knockout, because I'm telling you right now, he can't take Pacquiao shots. There's no way. As soon as he gets hit, he could be outboxing. He's gonna get caught. He's gonna get hurt. So I think look good in that fight, but throwing him out to Crawford is just too iffy.
That'll be a great fight, though. I'd love to see Pacquiao versus Crawford, though.
You like? Yeah,
Pacquiao Conor would sell more,
I would too.
I forgot you didn't get your pick.
No, but the legend versus the new line, that's classic, man. You gotta love that, you know.
Yeah. So you think who you think is going to be though? If you had to pick,
I'm gonna go with Amir Khan, but I would love the Pacquiao Crawford one. You know.
Yeah.
That's just an excellent matchup. Two southpaws and you know, old legend in the game versus a new hungry lion. That'll be good. You know.
Yeah.
What about it? Pacquiao versus Khan, and then right after Marquez. Yeah.
Oh hell no.
Hey, Marquez ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah.
Marquez, he's still thinking about that knockout win. That's all he want to remember. That's all Marquez want to remember is that knockout win. But unfortunately, and I don't really have to say unfortunately. Yeah, it'll probably be Amir Khan, and I can't blame Manny Pacquiao for that. I can't blame Manny Pacquiao for not wanting to go in there with a young lion like Terrence Crawford. It's funny how Max Kellerman and all them kept saying, that Terrence Crawford, he has to really impress. He has to really look good, to solidify this Pacquiao shot. But I said, no, it's the contrary. He needs to look bad. He needs to look vulnerable, You don't go in there looking like a goddamn monster, and that's what Crawford ended up doing. So he messed around and negotiated himself out of a fight, by knocking out Bradley-Rios.
The bright side for me is if he doesn't get the Pacquiao fight, there's still a Victor Postol fight, and I really like that.
Yep. No doubt about it. That will make up. That's the best fight that can be made at 140 right now. And
unification.
Now who knows? Postol may be a tougher opponent than Pacquiao. I mean, he has the height, he has the foot movement, he has the amateur pedigree. Them Russians and them Cubans, are beasts in the amateurs. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, guys. I want to say thanks again to the DBN panel. You know what it is. We got AK, Boxing Ego, Miss Boxing Baby, Eric Morales, my man in the studio, Corrales. I'm calling you Corrales, man. Carlos Morales, because y'all both got the same last name. Y'all messing me up, man. And I don't know, my man Boxing Ego, I don't know if I said you. Yeah. All right. Hey, take us out, Boxing Ego.
So that's all, folks. I don't know.
A deeper. I know. I surprised you with that one. That was a surprise shot. All right, see you guys next week.
I'll take us out. Leave them Triple G versus Terrence Crawford and Kovalev comment in the comment section. Let me know who has the best resume in boxing.
There it is. You heard it from Ego. We see you guys next week, y'all. Yeah.